This beautiful 2007 Toyota Sequoia was brought down, shut off, and would not run anymore because of this tiny little wire. But how come a tiny little wire will bring down an entire car and not let it run? And the better question is, what happened to this wire? Let's start with this video, and I'll show you what happened, what brought this truck down, and how it could have been easily avoided. Let's get started. Here's the story of the Sequoia. This is a customer that we've worked on this car before. It's been a long time, I think just after we opened the shop. So, car is in beautiful shape. I mean, it is in exceptional shape for its miles. It has over 200,000 miles. These things, if you don't get them rusty, they will run and run and run. This is a 2UZ engine here. Here's what happened with this truck. Customer called us and says, the truck keeps dying out systematically, and then when it dies out, it wouldn't start again. You gotta wait for a while, then it'll start again. This is a customer that is really into their car and is not just knows nothing about cars. He's very good with cars and he does certain things DIY here and there and really maintains this thing because it's in beautiful shape. Here's the thing. We told him, bring it in on an emergency appointment because this is a previous customer of ours. Just tow it in, give us a few days, we'll look into it, we'll let you know what's going on. Brings the truck in. Initially, I remember I went out to drive it, start the truck, started right up. So it runs great. I went around the block, it's great. Then all of a sudden it hesitated a little bit, almost died, then it came back up. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Well, initial drive, it's fine. Took it for a little bit longer drive, it was fine. Brought it back, I'm like, all right, well, we'll go back to it in a little bit, see what it does. We'll put some more time with it. That never happened that day. I'll flat out admit, we've been really busy lately here in the shop. So the end of the day, we pull our cars in, we don't leave cars outside. So me and our technicians, we always pull all the cars together. Technician comes to me, he's like, hey, this car doesn't want to start. Okay, great. Let me go on it, even though we're like 5 minutes before close time. Let me go see what's going on. I noticed that you put the key, you crank it, nothing, not even a crank. I'm like, do we have a bad starter here? But why did it die out because of a starter? That doesn't make sense. Then I observed the following. The check engine light is off. I cycled the key 2-3 times, all of a sudden check engine light came on, started right up. Ran perfect. As soon as I moved, it shut off again. What's going on here? Started right up after that, ran fine, pulled it in. Next day I came back, it runs fine. It's like, what do we do? What could possibly cause this? This is just strange. Why is the check engine light going out and then it comes back? It's like, this is so random. This doesn't, I initially thought maybe the aftermarket stuff. He has a speaker or amplifier or whatever. I disconnected that. Same thing. We looked into it. We thought the battery tested faulty. So we thought, okay, maybe the battery is getting way too low, but the crank just things were not making sense. Okay, maybe the alternator is sending AC voltage. Occasionally it has a problem. Well, we couldn't really test the alternator properly because the battery was weak. So we're going back and forth, put the battery to charge. It just sent us on a little loop here. Then, looking around, I found this tiny little wire. Let me get you a closer look so you can see what we actually found with this truck, because it is actually not a problem that the car had. It's a problem that was somebody caused. Let me show you this sensor. First, this is a cam position sensor on the UZ engines. Sits right on the driver's side, on the timing belt, just behind the timing belt there. Do you see how this wire is broken? Right here and right here. This here may appear like it's just broken from age. These wires do get brittle, very brittle, and this one is. But do you see how this one is like cut off by something? Here's where this guy sits in this truck. Let me show you. It sits behind this cover right here, this timing belt cover. You see this wire coming out right here? That's actually the same wire. So this wire right here, see how it's clipped in and is steady? Well, that clip was broken. And somebody who did a timing belt, or I don't know, this looks like the best part is This was 2019 on this sticker. I hope you can see it well. This is a dealership sticker, so this may have been caused by the dealership. That clip broke, which is very common to break. I understand that. But they decided to route this wire at the bottom, which has a clip at the bottom, route it outside here, outside this pipe, and into here and into the connector. And this connector is literally just sitting here. Well, do you see what's here? That little knife of a belt here? That belt actually cut this wire. It took, listen to this, it took 5 years. What was the exact date on this? Yeah, April of 19. It took it over 5 years for the belt to cut enough into this wire, because it's just sitting next to it. You hit a bump, it vibrates, cuts into it a little bit. To do the exact sequence of this sensor has 3 wires: power and ground and signal. The power, though, is a 5-volt power, not 12 volts. Here's how the sensor works. You send 5 volts to it, and it's grounded. And then the sensor in the middle, as it picks up, is going to change that 5 volts back and forth. And that's how the computer gets the cam signal. Well, this belt cut this wire just enough where the 5-volt wire gets grounded. That 5 volts is generated by the computer. The second you ground it, the computer has a fail-safe built into it, so it wouldn't fry. It shuts down the entire computer. So every time the fan pushed this wire just in the right shape, it made that contact, the truck shut off. And the check engine light will be off because the computer is off. It's just in self-protect mode from shorts. That's what brought this truck down, folks. Now, the sad part, and this is not verified because I just didn't want to get too much into this with the customer, make him really upset. I mean, it's been 5 years, so that's kind of statute of limitation, if you would. But I have reason to believe that the dealership or somebody, because that is an original timing belt, and I don't think there is a single shop out there that uses an original timing belt for these, because you could buy the ASIN kit and it's exactly the same parts and it comes with a different sticker. But somebody routed that wire wrong. What just makes me wonder is, you broke this connector. Look at it. You broke the clip, which happens all the time. I get it. This gets brittle and just breaks. Broke this. Did not at least put a zip tie, so it wouldn't be flopping around. But not only that, they routed the entire wire wrong, and it started cutting. This is such a common thing with the UZ series engine, folks. This is your 1UZ, this is your 2UZ, this is your 3UZ. They all have the same cam sensor, except the ones with a distributor. But all the ones that don't have a distributor, they have this style. And if you don't route these wires right, this will happen. And there's another wire that is even worse than these. If you look all the way down, this wire, it's going to be very hard to show you. This wire actually goes behind the bracket for the fan. Sorry, this one right here goes behind the bracket for the fan, right next to the water pump, and then into the crank sensor. If you don't route that wire right, it will do worse than that. I've seen so many of this wire routed on the outside and zip tied. Why? The fine engineers, they spent all this time designing this thing so it would run precisely where it needs to go. Just 2 days ago, I had an LS 430. We're doing a timing belt. The thing is run outside. It's like, why? Just put it back the right way. This engine is a masterpiece, but it has its few quirks. This is one of them. That exact problem is one of them. That area is kind of a strange orientation, not the way you would think it is. That's why, take pictures if you're DIYing this. If you're a mechanic, don't be shy. Be shy if something like this happens, because you did not ask or inquire. Take pictures. Go look in the manual. It clearly describes it in the manual that you got to be careful with that, because they knew this could be an issue, or it might have been an issue and they changed the manual for it. This tiny little wire brought this entire car down, shut off in the middle of the road, could have gotten in an accident, could have gotten all of it, and it took 5 years for it to manifest. Could have been avoided, just if this wire was just run right. Even if the clip was broken, that's fine. But why did we route it the wrong way? That's what caused this whole thing. Folks, it is important that little clips and wiring goes back in its place. We're all humans, we all miss stuff, we all forget, but we gotta go in with an effort that we're gonna put everything, because every little clip, you look at the harness, the entire harness of the car, every little clip is there for a reason, so it wouldn't get caught or pulled by something else and damaged. This is why they put the clip on this one, so you clip it in and the fan wouldn't pull it or push it or move it to the side and they will contact the belt. Another one on the 2UZ, since we're on the subject, as I've seen and is a common one, the upper radiator hose. That's another one, another offender. Do you see how there's a small section here and a long section here? If you flip this hose, and it's common to be flipped, you will end up running this hose right against the fan. So the fan is right here. Fan edge is right here. You will actually catch the edge of the hose with the, it'll fit upside down. You'll catch the edge of the hose with this, and eventually you'll start leaking coolant. That's another quirk with these. I'm really glad that this is all it is, because we were, at some point when this thing was not starting, we were at a footing of, we may have all kinds of weird electrical gremlins with this car. I mean, what's going on? Why is the ECU shutting off like that? This could be one of those needle in a haystack problems that we were spending a lot of time. It's going to cost the customer a lot of money in diagnosis. Well, I'm glad that it was just this. Now, this was not cheap. Labor is medium, but this sensor is not cheap. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with this sensor. Now, some of you will ask, well, why can't we just fix the wire? That's the next thing. This is a sensor, folks. This wire is a shielded wire. You see how it has all the shielding around it? It starts from here, goes all the way out to this section. You can't repair this wire, because then everything around will interfere with the signal of it. And the labor you're going to spend, well, are we trying to mend things, or are we trying to fix them right? That's the next question you want to ask yourself. So we ended up replacing the sensor with an original part. We got him a new clip, because of course, we talked about in the video, strangest things that Toyota does. This clip does not come with the brand new expensive sensor. That's, of course. We got a new battery on the car. That was needed, part of our inspection. Another thing that the customer wanted us to do was the transmission fluid was due, so we took care of that. And then another thing that we noticed, and this is something I'm noticing a lot, we actually switch mode, and we're something we're doing in the shop. PCV hoses, folks. These are new hoses. This one, and there's another one on the other side. We're starting to see older Toyotas, they just disintegrate, come apart, cause all kinds of lean codes. Going forward with the older stuff, anytime we do a valve cover gaskets, we're putting new hoses, because they're starting to come apart, and we've seen a few issues come back, cars come back. Lean code, we just did a valve cover, and we pulled the thing, it has a crack at the bottom, we didn't see it, so it's like, okay, we're not taking chances. These hoses are very inexpensive. It's not worth it. People bring their cars to the shop to fix it right the first time, and we're done. So we're going to start replacing these hoses. We replace the hoses on this. And the last thing we're waiting for is the customer, after we figured it out and he was happy with it, he's like, there are a few other issues. I already have it in the shop. Our family is already inconvenienced without our car. Let's just get it all done and be done. The passenger side window does not go up and down. This is where this stuff bugs me. The motor is out. Tested it, very simple testing. Motor is out, but the motor is discontinued. I tried to find it anywhere. No Japan, because this is a US only car, or Canada only as well. So you don't have a version of this in Japan. So we have to go aftermarket on the motor. I really dislike it. I mean, the motor is originals from Toyota. They're so expensive, but they're worth every penny, because this is the original motor that just went. But we are forced to do the aftermarket way, because it's either that or no window, basically, or get a used part that will fail after a year. So that's the last thing we're waiting for this. Of course, aftermarket stuff sometimes take long to arrive. So as soon as we get that, we'll put the window in. She's all ready to go. wires routed right. We checked everything else with the timing belt. Everything looks good. So let us one time do it right. When you see wires routed a certain way, when you go back together, route it back the same way. Otherwise, this may be in the future. It's unfortunate, but I'm glad it was not something worse or nobody got hurt in the accident, because this thing would just die out in the middle of the street. Folks, I hope this video is helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.